So a lot of students out there aren't going to have a nice gradient of markers. And even if you get a pack of Prismacolors, you know, at $40 or whatever for 8 of them, it still might not have the gradient that you want or the color that you want. So it's possible that, you'll need to make your own gradient using one marker. Um, and I wanted to also say that you might not have Prismacolors, you may just have other markers. This is what I did with these highlighters. I think that's limited, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. And there's just some tricks here that I've learned to make things a little bit better. You can see I've tried to do this here, but I've got quite a bit of bleeding into my into the lines that I made with a Sharpie. Um, I didn't get that here, but this isn't nearly as wet. These highlighters aren't nearly as wet. I Here I didn't do the Sharpie, and I think that it looks better with the Sharpie. So I think that outline and it makes it pop a little bit more. I certainly think you can do it this way. You just have to be really careful because it does move out a lot when you are starting to apply second and third applications. So let's see how I would do this and what I've learned. I'm going to go with a purple or blue on this, and I'm going to simply cover everything with one shot here, and I'm going to be keeping in the lines quite a bit. And one thing about this, unlike these Prismacolors, unlike the can't color and talk at the same time. The highlighters don't blend very well. These do blend quite well. As you can see, I'm staying away from those edges to try to not get my ink from sliding into there. I can come back and touch that up a little bit later. Trying to also keep in mind that this is a sketch. Right. I apologize for the bells in my room. It's a fact of life. Sounds like an airport. All right, I'm going to leave that there, and I'm just going to let it sit and dry, and then put that aside. And then I'm going to say I'm going to do another one here. I'll come over and do the barn. So we're going to just go with a monochrome. And I also want to acknowledge that I am very much an amateur in this, and the only reason I'm doing this video is because when I watch highly trained technicians do this, they often have a lot of tools that my students may not have, like a massive set of Prismacolor markers at their disposal, or Copic markers. And I loan mine out a few at a time, so it's like what this is one thing that I think that it would be helpful for people who don't have as many resources as those guys online are showing quite often. All right, so I'm going to come back to this, and here I'm keeping this side darker, right, in the shading. And actually, this is going to be 2 shades here on the bottom. Again, I'm not getting over onto those. I'm being careful not to get too close to my Sharpied lines. And if you do have a Copic marker or one of these, the other thing you can do is kind of get close with this and then come back with your chisel tip, or not, depending on your space, right? So now I'm going to leave those spaces again, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to let that dry, let it be. In here, also I'm going to do the same thing, only do the bottom and the right hand side. Try to save time here. And this one's kind of hard. And on that left side, I'm leaving that. I'm going to let it be. Okay. Yes, I know that I shaded that before. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason to what I shaded before and what I did here when I was just doodling around, thinking of different architectural figures. I'm a little bit nervous about that being dry enough, so I might go to another thing. Okay, I pause the video and let it dry a little bit more, and I'm going to go in with my fine end here. You can see that I'm not touching that Sharpie. That's going to age over there, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm not getting into it. Drawing a little border here. And I'm not going on the bottom at all, because that's already the shade that I want it to be. So that border enables me to use my chisel tip pretty well. That's about where I want it to be, right? And I have that nice gradient there. And here, again, I'm going to just get this a tiny bit. It's hard to get in there and do any fine work there. I think I already have a little bit of bleeding here. So be careful to stay away from that. I think one other option here is if you have a black Prismacolor marker. I don't think you would have the problem with the Sharpie, but a lot of people don't, and a lot of people do have the Sharpie and use them a lot. So I do think that that is, you know, this is an important situation that some people face. So we see here, you know, I think that this is better than this, but this isn't terrible. And these, again, we're just done with these highlighters. And we see that I've gotten in here, and I've been careful about this so that I'm not bleeding. I got a tiny bit of bleeding there, but I don't even know if you can see it on the video, but it's looking pretty good for just one marker and a gradient, three gradients with that one marker. That works out pretty well and is an option for you if you only have you know, you don't have the gradients in different markers.